Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And you're watching Tom Talks Rubbish.
Absolutely.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy, Tom Talks Rubbish, and stand back with another interview. This time, I'm joined by the enforcer from Going in Raw, the third man, brother.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Pleasure to be here, Tom. Thanks for inviting me. First proper interview I've had outside of Steven Larson, man. So there you go. You get the first one. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm just a mild-mannered third person whenever they do live streams or they're going to be busy typing notes or whatever. You know, I'm just basically the person to help with the chat and give some quips here and there. So happy to be here, and I've seen the some of your videos. Saw the one with Steven Larson. Saw a lot from people from Wrestle Talk and Cultaholic and all that, and it's awesome, man. You're doing excellent work, dude.
I appreciate that, man. Like, I didn't expect you to put me over there, but I really appreciate that.
Hey, man, that's what it's all about, man. You know, if you see someone who's out there hustling, you know, doing their thing, you have to give them props for that, man. So, absolutely.
I appreciate all that. So, if we take this back, where does your wrestling fandom begin?
All right. As a child of the 80s, I was very much into the big characters of like Hogan, Ultimate Warrior. I was a WWF kid. I had no idea that there was any other wrestling but that stuff. I didn't have cable, didn't have anything like that. So having TBS and watching NWA was not an option for me. The only thing I had Saturday morning, Superstars, I'd sit there with a bowl of cereal and just watch whatever was there, you know. And then every once in a while, I'd go to the movie rental place, and every once in a while they would have new wrestling events there, and I would go and check those out, and that's where my fandom grew. I mean, that's where it started, man. Was just Saturday mornings watching that before and after cartoons. That's where it started. And I was hooked then, but then there were times where I waned and like I lost interest and went away. Like sports would catch my, like, you know, other sports would catch my interest and I'd drop it. But there was always a path back to professional wrestling for me. Yeah.
So if we dig into how you got into it originally, what was it that captivated you during what we would call the cartoony rock and wrestling era?
Well, you know what it was, man. It was, I will be very honest with you. It was a lot of these homies, my He-Mans, my Masters of the Universe. They needed dudes to fight. And they would have, Hasbro's would have the old, clicky wrestlers. They do like one move, like Ultimate Warrior would do like a gorilla press slam or whatever. So I'd have my wrestlers fight my He-Mans or my G.I. Joes or whatever. And then eventually I was like, what is this? What are these guys? Who is the Ultimate Warrior?
First.
Absolutely. Toys, and then the interest of like, who are these guys actually? And then that's what sort of hooked me into it. I was that kid who would be in the corner of his front yard, flood a little dirt patch, and then make that sort of like the lake or the moat that, you know, the invading force would have to, you know, try and get over. And then, you know, the wrestlers got to try and make their way over there to beat He-Man or Skeletor, would get like the Ultimate Warrior, the boss man, as his muscle to help get over there. So that's basically how I used to do it.
That sounds dope. And how is that not a cartoon, by the way?
All right. I know. I mean, there was one thing. It's like I didn't have a lot of the same grade friends in my neighborhood. They were more like my brother's age, who were about 4 or 5 years older. So no way would a 13, 14-year-old want to hang out with somebody's 7, 8-year-old brother. So I'd have to just sort of use my imagination and figure out what was there, you know? So that's basically what I would do.
Do you think, I've talked a lot about people with tape trading and stuff, and that dying out and it being a lost art. Do you think that figures are a lost art nowadays?
I think figures are hotter now more than they've ever been, with so many companies and so many different versions of characters and different sort of side lines for like they used to have the zombie figures or Masters of the Universe action figures where, you know, you'd be a souped up John Cena or whatever. But I will say this, where I think it sort of lost its passion is that there's very few figure hunters out there that'll go to, in my case in the States, like a Target or a Walmart or anything like that to go and buy a figure. A lot of it is you go on, like, you know, Ringside Collectibles. Yeah. You buy your set, you wait for it to come in, and then there you go. There's not really the organic hunt anymore that I used to have as a kid. That I think that is the lost art of it.
Mm-hmm. Do you also think, with the way technology is and stuff, there's a lost art of maybe kids playing with them the way they would back when we were kids?
Well, I think they play with them differently because the ability to know the actual character's background and storyline will somewhat lend them to put the proper characters together, if you understand what I mean. It's like, you know basically that this person is a good guy and this one is a bad guy, and then, you know, they're supposed to be fighting and a lot. But what happens is that the kids slowly morph what it's supposed to be into their own like figure federation, and they take it to a whole new level. So I see like there's a lot of people that have kids that are on the Friendoverse, which is basically the Going In Raw Facebook sort of community, and they'll show their kids playing with their old figures and doing all that. So there's still a lot of connection from the adults now that were playing it with a kid, passing those figures on down to their kids and seeing basically them now with adult eyes continue on the trend. So that makes me extremely happy to see that.
Me too. Like, I haven't got them in my room at the minute because I need a place to set them up. I'm not gonna but I found in my dad's loft, I was helping them clean it out over the weekend. We found basically a gym version, like a gym bag filled with figures and toys. Oh,
that's the way it was, man. I remember when my mom would say, clean up your room, and to do it real quick, it would usually end up in like a plastic tote bag or a gym bag or whatever. You just throw it all in there, shove it off into the closet or underneath the bed or something, and forget about it kind of until you're like, wait, where did these things go? Then you pull it out, and then all of the nostalgic feelings come right back of those. And I'm sure that's what you did when you were cleaning out your dad's loft and found all your toys there. You're like, oh, I remember these guys.
I was like, yep, this is going to be my background. And once they're all set up, do you know what I mean?
There you go. Absolutely, dude. That's why, like back here, there's so many things. It's just things that I've picked up along the way that mean something to me. I mean, if the friendos know, like a horse means something different than just having a horse back here for myself. Forrest Gump sitting back here. Steve and Lawson were digging through their parents' one. Through random conversation, there's a Forrest Gump VHS tape. There's my favorite old school hockey player. There's Deadpool on a horse. There's Horsey from Toy Story. There's Grogu. All of these little things here. There's Scary Terry. All these things are just things that I've picked up along the way that make me feel good. I mean, there's a squirrel Deadpool right here. Who doesn't love a squirrel Deadpool right here? Come on, right here. So I just, all these little things just sort of bring me joy. It is. And then I love the sim race as well. So this is basically my sim rig. I got my little hula girl right here. Yeah, absolutely. Right here. I mean, if you want, I could strap in for this conversation if you'd like. No problem. We'll go on and get after it then.
So if I was to ask you to pick one thing in your collection that's your favorite, what would it be?
Oh man, that's like asking about children right there, dude.
Is it really?
It's really whatever the moment is, but I will say this: it's not a toy. It is it's a NASCAR diecast car that I'd recently picked up from Tony Stewart. He won the last race in 2011, a race, and he needed to win this race to win the championship. He was my favorite dude by osmosis. My dad, it was his favorite guy as well. We were first time I ever seen the old man cry, and
Really?
and to see this guy win. And I was looking for that car in particular, the race worn car. Couldn't find it to save my life. He passed away in the summer of the next year in 2012. So ever since then, I made a point of it to get this die cast and display it. Unfortunately, it's not displayed here right now, but it will be. And I was recently able to find it, and it was actually autographed by Tony Stewart as well, the guy that drives. So that to me is, of all the stuff here that I have in the house, other than my hockey jersey collection, that is the most meaningful, tangible thing I can just hold up to you and say, this is the most prized thing that I have.
I think that's really cool because I've asked a few people and it's like they've told me stories, but there's no sort of emotional connection there.
Yeah,
but you can tell there's a real emotional connection.
Oh yeah. I'm keeping it very light because I just thinking about it sort of gets me breaking a bit. So it's one of those things where it's like I don't bring it up all that often, but when I do, it makes me happy to think seeing him the way he was in a way that I've never seen him before, and something that I could grab and go, okay, this right here reminds me of that moment.
Yeah.
A moment that I can't get back anymore, but at least I can kind of relive it or get the feels back again,
Wow. So before we both start getting emotional, because if you start crying, I'm one of those people that if you start, you know what I mean?
I'm good.
If you start,
I get you. Yeah. You're going to be like, oh, now I'm like, oh, no. Oh, I get you, man. Yeah. I feel the same way, man. Yeah.
So if we continue along your wrestling journey,
please,
and we enter sort of the 90s, what is your consumption at this point?
Okay. The new generation, if you will, that like early to mid, I think I basically tapped at about 92 is when 93 is when I tapped and stopped watching. I think I remember, as sad as it is, like the WrestleMania 9 at Caesar's Palace is probably one of my favorites because I would always go and grab that tape if I could find nothing else to watch in the rental store. I'd grab that and just wear it out. And I know as an adult,
it's bad.
That show sucks. It sucks. It's piss poor. It's garbage. But as a kid and seeing these large Undertaker fighting this big dude who's wearing nothing essentially, I'm down with that. There's a big vulture over here. There's Jerry Lawler in a toga. You just got Jim Ross in a toga. You got Heenan. You got Macho Man wanting to fight Hogan, all beat up in his face, and he gets a title at the end. So I realized, looking back, it's a horrible show. But basically, after that, I kind of tapped out. Really got into like hockey, basketball, football, all that other stuff. This is basically now at about 12, 13. I basically like tapped out at that point. And then what brought me back was finally my dad relented and got us cable. So I was able to watch Monday Night Raw, was able to watch Nitro, and I was actually able to consume the Attitude Era. Like with the Attitude Era brought me back in. Stone Cold, The Rock, Mankind, Goldberg on the other channel, DDP, Hall, Nash, Jericho, Eddie Guerrero, Mysterio, all of these guys, they brought me back in. I was one of those guys flipping back and forth. What's going on here on this channel? Oh, I'm not digging this. Let me see what's going on over here. Oh, it's a promo. Do I care no, I'm not. Going back over here. They had me just jumping back and forth around that time. So that really got my passion back. And also, as a kid, I kept my wrestling love low key because it was also thought of like, oh, okay, you're into wrestling at some point. Sort of you're going to grow out of it at some point, which in reality, I kind of did. But because I loved it as a little kid, I was able to jump back in when it went mainstream and were able to watch it and talk about it at school. In high school, able to watch and talk about, oh man, did you see what Sable was wearing or not wearing or whatever, all this other stuff, you know? So it was easier to get into it. And I stuck all the way through until WCW went away. And then at that point I was like, okay, I'm starting to see it's kind of like they're treating the guys from WCW as pariah. And that kind of was like, okay, I'm kind of over watching this. Okay, they've won. I'm cool. Once again, got much more back into NASCAR, into the sports. So always I would go back to the sports and really fell up. Ruthless Aggression, I didn't watch any of that. I have a complete blind spot up until probably about 2003, up until what brought me back again was the network. They brought back the network and said,
seriously?
you can watch pay-per-views for $10 a month. When before they were 50 and 60 a pop. And I'm like, and I would ask my dad, Dad, can I get this? He's like, no way, hell, no way. You just bought one last month. You just bought one last, and I was just like, oh, come on, Dad, come on, man. Here's the cash for it too. After a while, he's like, okay, fine. But I had to pick and choose my spots.
I'm sure as an adult, you understand that now, though. Like,
I completely understood. You can't drop $50 a month for 3 hours of entertainment the way they used to do it. I knew he wasn't made out of cash. I understood that, right? And my mom really made it seem like hey, you got to watch your P's and Q's, because she was the heavy-handed one. Said nope, forget it. My dad was a little bit of a softer touch.
Yeah.
So I was able to get a couple more things there, but once I was old enough and I came and I saw they were doing the network, I was like, okay, all the old shows, okay, I dig that. But then they said, this was back when you had to buy 6 months worth of it at one shot. So you had to spend 60, right when it started, you had to spend $60 and you got the first 6 months.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, they basically worked it to where, you plug down $60 and then for 6 months you have the network. So I was like thinking, okay, I'll throw one pay-per-view, one WrestleMania, which I wanted to do anyway because it was WrestleMania season. It was WrestleMania 30. Mm-hmm. That brought me back. So I was like, okay, I'll watch this, and then I'll get 6 months of whatever happens. And ever since then, I was hooked. And then I tell people this all the time. That story, the first match that I had seen from before, like when I dropped it in like 2001, 2002, the first match was that Daniel Bryan Triple H, the opening match on WrestleMania 30.
I love that match.
That thing got me hooked. I was in it right then at that point. And they had me again, all the feels of like being a kid and then being, in my teens, watching it, and that feel, what's going to happen? How's this going to work? The near falls, all of this, the crowd reaction got me. Then I saw a dude who I remembered way back in the day, Undertaker, finally losing his streak. Saw that. Then saw, the main event, seeing this little dude with all his yeses command this crowd. I was like, I'm in. I'm in. Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson, is the reason why I got back into wrestling, was because of his first match with Triple H at WrestleMania 30. That opening match got me hooked again. Yeah.
What did the video package do for you? I don't know if you saw that.
I was more hyped for the matches. The video package never really resonated with me. And honestly, I saw a lot of dudes, had no idea who they were. I mean, the only dudes I remember were Triple H, Undertaker. Who else was on that card that was an old school dude?
I can't remember now.
So like those were the only two dudes I remember. I was like, oh, Undertaker's still at it. Okay. Oh, Triple H is here. Okay, yeah, the cool entrance. All right, cool.
Because that was it. Wasn't that the Charlotte entrance where they were all his queens?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, then they took this helmet off and did all that. Yeah, all that had me hooked again. Absolutely. And the video package didn't do much for me. The crowd, the fervor got me hooked. It was like, man, look at all these people here. It looked like an Attitude Era show where it was like the place looked packed. Mm. And then it was it was weird after a couple of months of going, oh, this isn't how it is all the time anymore. It's sparse. They're cutting off some lights. They're doing a lot of different other things here.
Because I suppose when you last watched, and I keep interrupting you, I do apologize.
No, go ahead. It's a conversation.
When you last watched was during their heyday of selling out every show they went to.
Yeah, absolutely. Selling out. Everyone brought a sign, flash bulbs going off like crazy. That's the stuff that I used to remember. And then going back now and like watching a lot of the ruthless aggression stuff, like Eddie Guerrero versus JBL, and a lot of all these other ones where they're just like pouring blood. And then like also the network got me into a lot of older wrestling when I was watching WWF at the time, watching
I suppose
that I missed out that the NWA was doing with Flair and the Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Express. I was watching these fools again. I was like, wow, look at all this stuff that I missed. All this other. So I am very thankful for the archivalness of the network. That's what really got me. It was like, okay, one pay-per-view, pay for that, but I get all the old stuff. I can go back and relive it all. Yeah. And I would absorb that network. I would watch every show. I would watch like Raws, like back to back, fly to a SmackDown, go to a show, the pay-per-view, and then get the follow. I was in it, man. I was just absorbing it all over again because, like I said, I was hooked again. And when I get hooked into something, I want to know everything about it. Once they got me, boom, I want to know the background. I want to know what's going on. Where did they come from? Where did they wrestle before? Can I find some old footage of them? I dig in deep, just like if it was like with racing or hockey. And if I dig a player, okay, what are his stats? Where has he played? How long is his contract? Where's he going here? Are there rumors that he may be over here? Is there a highlight reel I could find on YouTube or something like that? That like when something hooks me like that, I try and get all the info I can.
I'm exactly the same. But if we move on to how you got into going in Raw, when did Stephen Lawson come into your life as a fan, first of all?
Okay. Probably around the same time that, once again, this goes with when I find something that I'm passionate about, I want to find out more.
Yeah.
So I wanted to find more information about, I always remember that there was like a Wade Keller back in the day, and there were a lot of on public access channels on cable. Sometimes they would be doing wrestling dirt sheets where a guy would just have public access.
Really?
1 hour. Yeah. And then just talk about, the dirt sheets or the dirt at the time or the card of the week or like matches that you should be watching. I found it informative. I don't remember the dude's name at all or anything like that, but I remember like on public access, always around like at like midnight or so, like on a Thursday, the guy would pop up and it was like, he would not be actually on the screen. It was just would say like a rotating of what the schedule was for this channel. And I would just sit there and I'd watch it. So I always knew that there was a deeper level of understanding of wrestling. So once I got back in, I was looking for whatever the modern version of it was.
Yeah.
And I just sort of just like can't tell you the specific video or anything like that, but I was just searching for, recaps or reviews of a Raw at the time. And then these guys popped up, Steve and Lawson. Okay. And I was like, okay, I dig these fools. I dig the way that they're talking back and forth and all that. For a long time, I wasn't a YouTube member or on Patreon or anything like that. I was just a dude, just listen to their show. And then after a while, then I said, you know what? I dig their stuff. I want to support them. Let me go to the $5 Patreon, which you can still go on and do that. Patreon.com/Stephen Larson. Go on and get your Patreon. Kip Up every week, baby. You can keep up with the Kip Up, baby. There you go.
Steve Larson. They just released the new one.
There you go. Absolutely. So I dug what they had, and they had different tiers, and there was the Mat Chat, where if you $10 a month, you can do a weekly video. And for a while, I was like, you know what?
This was the debate show, correct?
This was the one where fans would go on and put like a 30-second video together. And then at the end of the Monday Raw, Lawson would splice in these videos, and then they talk about the question that that the person posed.
Oh, so this is pre the debate show, because they had a debate show on the Sunday for a while.
I think that may have been it. I think Match Chat was where like someone would want to take one side and someone would want to take the other of whatever the question was. So yeah, I think in a way it started as that, but then it sort of just morphed into just give us your video questions and we'll just answer them, right?
Yeah.
So I think that was the genesis of the idea. It basically says like, oh, is this person good or bad for wrestling? And then Steve would take one side and Lawson would take the other, and then they would debate. Yeah, that's kind of where Match Chat started, and it morphed. But after a while, I would send in my questions, and I do it in the car real quick, just so something dumb, something silly.
Yeah.
But it would also be sometimes, I would sit here and put my hue lights at a certain hue or whatever, and then change up the background, fire off a video or whatever. So I was one of the regulars that would fire off a Match Chat video. And then I remember Steve had his side hustle where he started Unsolved Mysteries, where he was just on a Saturday night would just do a live watch along just by himself, say, okay, I'm going to watch it, 3, 2, 1, play, go. And I'd watch that after a while, and then I noticed after a while, he would like get up and like, hey, I have to be back, or I'll be back, or like, Chat would, he'd talk with Chat just a little bit. Just seemed like he had a lot going on for trying to keep this up. So I just sent him a direct message, and I said, because he had already known me from the videos of Match Chat, and I said, hey, if you want, I'd love to actually do these shows with you. If you're interested, please do. And he got back to me quick, and he said, yeah, dude, you know what? Let's try it on Saturday. I was like, holy shit. Okay. All right, cool.
How intimidating is that? Because obviously Steve is at this point very well known in the YouTube community with
Is he
cinema.
though? Is he?
Yeah.
No, I'm just messing with Steve. No, I get what you mean there. That sending in a video and just having it there and then them moving on is different than sitting here with a mic, with Chat, with a camera here, and minding your P's and Q's as much as you can. Yeah, it is a different situation. But the thing was, Steve made it so simple to do it. And also, there was no pressure because we're just watching an old unsolved mystery here, and we're just goofing on it. We're just riffing on it.
Yeah.
That gave me no problems at all. The thing that gave me an issue was there was one day Steve asked me, he's like, hey, I'm going to be out of town. Can you do the Raw review with Lawson? And I was like, hold on here. At first I was like excited. I was like, yeah, let me do it. Then I thought about it. I was like, this is a different ask. This is their baby. This is what they make their money on. This is where they have ads for it. This is one where they have, patrons. They got people watching this. This is a different version than just, okay, on Twitch, there's like 40 people watching us do a Unsolved Mysteries live stream. Yeah. That got me. And I remember we were going to do a Unsolved Mystery like 2 days before that. And I told him, I was like, oh, man, that's a big ask. And Steve like legitimately asked me like, dude, are you up for it? You ready for it? And then very, very I told him absolutely. But in the back of my mind, I was like, man, I may goof this up. I may be, but luckily Lawson made it very simple to work with him that night. And normally, once again, that's one of these ones where I normally don't deal with Lawson because I was only working with Steve with Unsolved. Yeah. So I had grown a rapport with Steve, but with Lawson, it was a little bit different because I'm like, okay, even though I know this man from the videos and I get his jokes and all this other stuff, it's different having to be the other person that he has to take his cues
off almost.
Exactly. It's much different, but luckily Lawson made it super simple and sort of guided me through the first show. And then at the end, he said, hey man, you did good. You did good. I'm going to go on and edit all this up together. Did an excellent job. Right. And then ever since then, it just seemed if somebody needed a respite, somebody needed to, hey, I'm going to go out and do this or whatever. Can you fill in? I was like, okay, they make it simple enough and easy enough to do where I felt comfortable to do it. But that first one was extremely nerve-wracking.
At time of recording, the last one I saw you on was the Revolution review.
I think that is correct, where I wasn't even supposed to do it, but it's because they were like, hey, you know what? You're already here. We're going to review it. Just come on, the three of us. Let's do it. I took no notes. I had no idea how to do anything. I just sort of talked when I felt like I had a point to make.
You were the third man almost, like, like
exactly.
WWE commentary where it's like the third man, and this is in no way a knock on you, so please don't take it that way.
Oh no, of course not.
But it's like they're saying their spiel and stuff like that. And it's guys, you've said everything. What am I supposed to say here?
Well, that's why I would say, okay, you guys have said it all, but maybe I have a different angle at it. So let me go on and get my stuff in. That's one thing that I will say that I appreciate and have grown more accustomed with the live shows, is that I know that, especially with Lawson, and I see this stuff. There's a lot of other people that say, Lawson doesn't seem very, or not as engaged as Steve and the Enforcer are with the talking. This dude is taking copious amount of notes as the live show is going. So he's trying to listen to what's going on, throw in a quip here, there, and also write what he needs to remember to do the review, which also helps pay the bills for them. So
I had them both on my channel, as you know. That's the one I sent you.
Yes. Excellent job, by the way. Yeah.
I don't know. I look back on that interview and I think I cracked the bed on that one.
Dude, all these ones that you're gonna see every time. If I go back to even one of my first videos that I've done of my jersey unboxings, I cringe. The first couple of three, I could go to something 2 months ago and cringe at what I said or what I did or what I like.
Though, I've told this story enough, but I don't know if I mentioned it in the video. I was so hungover that day.
Are you hungover now?
No, I'm good today. I'm good.
Oh man, okay, so no excuses then. No.
It was like I went out the night before, and I've told this story enough, so I'll keep it brief. It was just when everything had opened up again in the UK.
Oh,
And my mate was like, we're going out, you're coming with us. I'm not taking no for an answer.
Yeah.
I was like, shit, I've got to do this tomorrow. And let's just say when I woke up the next day, those last 4 shots seemed like a bad idea. Right, absolutely. And then also, you're out of practice because you hadn't been out there in a while, and then you're probably going hard too. So of course, man. Yeah, hey, that happens. But hey, you know what? I'm pretty sure they'll give you another crack at it if you want, if you ask just nice enough. One day, circle back around to everybody you've done, and then see, like, look at me now, look at, so yeah. The question I have though, when you know you're going to do a Raw review or a SmackDown review, because you said you didn't take any notes in your earlier reviews, how different is the way you watch the show to, like, actually, I'll ask you that question in a minute, because what is your current consumption of wrestling? I will watch only a certain amount of shows weekly. Okay, that is Dynamite. I'll watch because that is the only night normally where on a normal week there's no streaming for me. Okay. Usually on Monday, Steve and myself will do some GTA play or something else. Now with 2K coming up, we may switch over to that. Tuesday is usually Steve and I will do a live watch along of 2.0. We just sit there and clown on it, really. Okay. Dynamite's the only one I can sit without sitting here. I can sit on the couch and then just watch 2 hours of wrestling. I watch that. I'll watch SmackDown here or there because that seems to be the bigger of the two shows for main roster. Yeah. And then I will also watch
a Rampage, because we do the live watch along of that on a Friday, and then they go into the review. So that's usually the 3 that I watch on a regularly consistent basis. I sprinkle in here or there every couple of weeks. I'll watch some Impact. I'll watch clips of NWA. Watch a little bit of that. Some New Japan clips here or there, but really with a full-time job, it's hard to also try and watch wrestling in the amount that people would expect me to, because people there's a misconception that, like, if I'm streaming with Steven Larson, I must be watching everything just like how they have to. No. I can't do that. I just physically cannot. Maybe one day I could if I covered it that way and the other job went away and this stuff picks up, maybe. But right now I just can't. I just pick and choose my spots. That's why a lot of times when we'll do a weekend review or watch along and we do our confidence points, I'm kind of lost because they're telling me about go home math and what happened at this show. And I'm like, I didn't watch any of that. So I'm just sort of picking like names out of a hat and throwing, like, a dart at the board and go, let me get this guy for 7 points. I don't know. I don't know what their last 10 matches have been.
Then
So
how different is your consumption? Like not your consumption, the way you watch a show when you know that, like, okay, Lawson's out of town, I'm jumping on the recap for this.
I'll tell you exactly how that goes, right? There is this note. Have I gotten rid of some of my older notes? There is I don't write it. I don't write down stuff on a keyboard. I write old school notes.
Really?
I write down on a pad right here. I just go through and I just do big beats of whatever it is. This was a SmackDown October 1st in Baltimore. And I just wrote down notes as it goes. It's difficult to watch wrestling this way.
Yeah.
It is unenjoyable to watch wrestling this way. I will tell you this, where you have to list, you actively have to listen. You actively have to watch moves chaining into something else, because you need to have that. You don't want to look like somebody who's sitting there when you're running down moves or whatever, where you're like, and then Steve, what happened here at this point? You want to seem like, like you're doing something. So whenever I have to actually do a review on a show, it's a different level of viewing. And I think the only way anyone can truly understand what I'm talking about is fire up a SmackDown or a Dynamite or something like that and take notes. Take notes of, who came in, what was said.
No thanks. I had my time.
One move to another, a big beat, what was said in a backstage thing. It is a different beast, and my hats off to both Steven Larson for doing that, and Wrestle Talk and Cultaholic. Anybody that has to take copious notes on play fighting.
Just because we did it,
difficult,
I'm going to shout out Simon Miller.
Yes, Simon as well. I love Simon, the way that he does those things as well, and also he's the H champion as well. So, he is. So props to him as well. But yeah, it is a different level of understanding than just sitting there and reacting to what you're saying or seeing, instead of the stuff that you need to write down to remember when you have to present this in a recap format. It's different. Absolutely. It's different. Like, if anybody wants to get a taste of that, just give it for like 30 minutes, a couple segments. It's not for everybody. I will tell you that.
Oh no, it's definitely not. But then my question is, do you still get nervous when Steve says, okay, you okay to jump on the Raw recap today?
Not anymore. Not anymore. Not anymore. And I'll say this is why. The friendos and the friendo community have been so welcoming to me now at this point. And Steve and Larson have both said this to me now at this point. I've been with them now probably, close to 2 years. People have known me actively doing the show with them. And at first there was a lot of, who is this guy? This guy isn't polished. What's going on? This guy has a stutter and a stammer. You should get a professional to do all this. And I would even say, you know what? give them recommendations as to who you think they should get. But then Steve and Lawson have both been excellent and said, no, dude, you're our guy. We click with you. We jive with you. That's one thing. It seems like there is a wonderful friendship, genuine friendship between Steve, Lawson, and myself. And I think that's the specialness that we get when the three of us get together. Is like we're just constantly trying to make the other one break and
we just
laugh.
Try to pop each other.
Exactly. That's all it is. I mean, there was a recent video that Steve had put together of our AAA reactions for.
I've not seen that yet. I do need to watch it.
You need to check that because all of that was just straight up confusion as I'm looking at this board and going, wait a minute. So is this my guy here? And then like just a throwaway line, and then Steve just dies at it, you know? And then I'm like, okay, I got him. Let me see if I can get him again. Then when the Fall and Prey got him, and then he was broken, he's fucking crying. He's just like, oh my God, that's the whole goal that we're trying to do. And that sort of resonates with the friendos where they see, look, here's three guys, two friends that have been together for a long time, and they're quickly made friend that they work with, and just you guys get to peer in and see basically the three of us, if we were sitting on the couch, how we would be goofing and cracking on this stuff. And it's just so nice to see like the friendos add one-liners for us to do as well. And like, you know, we get confused on something and then they're quick to do it. The friendoverse in the friendos. Yeah, a wealth of knowledge. You know, we come from so many different backgrounds and places, all corners of the globe. It's a wonderful community that we have put together or actually grown organically over the years, and it's a pleasure to be a part of that for sure.
Who out of the two of the great guys, Steve or Lawson, do you feel like you have the best chemistry with?
I would say it's with Steve because we're just we're cut from the same cloth. We're just like two big goofballs. That's what we are, man. We're just here. We just want to make you laugh. We just want to try and make the other person laugh. And if I can make you laugh, then that's going to make me laugh. And now we're all laughing. Lawson, and we've even said this, Lawson is a lot like, just like the dad of the three of us. He keeps us on the rails. He keeps us going. He keeps us centered. He keeps us focused on what we have to do and sort of reels us in a bit. But he also knows, like, if we're on a jag, he lets us go because he realized, like, okay, these fools, if I don't let them go, we're just going to harp on the fact that we didn't get to let it go. So it's an excellent thing, but I feel like I'm more of a Steve than a Lawson for sure.
Okay. So, but when it comes to recaps, who do you think you have the better chemistry with?
Probably in a recap, it's Lawson, because once again, like I could sort of fill in that Steve role where it's like, you know, jokes, you know, one-liners, all of that. And then Lawson is like, you know, keeping the train going. When it's Steve and me doing it, Steve has to almost be Lawson. I've never
seen you and Steve recap.
It's there are a couple of them out there for sure, but it's almost like Steve has to be the Lawson, where it's like he's the one that has to take the copious amount of notes. He's the one that has to get us from one segment to another and do a lot of the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
So I think that one is weird, where like he allows me to basically take a version of like what he does, and then he takes a lot of the Lawson, but you can never replace the Lawson. You can never replace the Steve. That's why, like, even when they said, I think in your video as well, it's like, what would happen if like Lawson said, hey, I'm done with this.
What would happen if one of them said, like, we've had enough?
And then it would be like, okay, well, you know, and I know that Steve has said this, is like, you know, I would probably see if I could pick up the Enforcer and go, okay, let's see if we can go and we can do this, you know, but it would never be like going in Raw. Mm-hmm. Going in Raw is Steve and Lawson. I stroll in every once in a while as a crazy wild guy who shows up every once in a while, you know. It's like, oh, okay, cool. There's a live show. Okay, Steve or Enforcer might be there. All right, cool. But then that's also why I go, okay, look, I know that you guys do your reviews. That's what you guys are. If you need me, cool. If not, I know. Hey, I'm gonna bounce out of this Zoom. You guys take care. handle it. But yeah, I think more of I'm more of the Steve than the Lawson, but still, every once in a while when Steve goes on a tangent, I gotta rein him in, especially on an unsolved mystery, man. Like that's insane when he goes on stuff. Or if we're doing our NX Steve, like we did a WrestleCoin, the ultimate pump and dump, when we had that thing that was leading up to that. Yeah, it's just sort of like he had to keep the train going, and then I'm just like the crazy wild dude who's just like offering just so much like junk to just throw out at the wall, you know.
What is a wrestling moment that you feel like bonds you and Stephen Lawson?
Oh man, something that bonds us.
In wrestling, because I don't want to get sappy again.
No, I would honestly say whenever well, it's not wrestling though. Smash Zone really bonds us when we watch our Smash Zone there. But that's only like a little bit of light wrestling. That's more of like a variety thing with old game shows, and you know, the friendos can bet on channel points. But I think honestly, probably the thing that really bonds us most is something that we had on Saturday. It's like a show that there is no recap for.
Yeah.
The one where, like, when we were watching Impact and Ray to Reyes, Lawson was able to be just as goofy as us because he didn't have to take notes or anything like that. He was just able to just have fun and kick loose. Yeah.
My interview with them, he can be just as goofy as Steve when he's getting
Absolutely, he can. Especially like when they used to do a lot more skits and stuff like that, you know, like pre-recorded skits. Even that one that they did when Lawson lost Big Red for the month of January for our predictions.
He's crying on Fandom,
and he's crying, you know. And then he throws the belt on the table, and then there's Steve, and he's like, "F you, get off my property." All this other stuff, you know. So it's Lawson can be just as goofy, if not more goofy, and it means more because he doesn't go off the handle as much as well. Yeah, but I would say those ones where we're not taking any notes for it, we can just enjoy the wrestling as if we were fans, and just like know that, okay, we're just here with a bunch of other friendos, and we're just enjoying the show, and there's nobody who has to kind of be serious and make sure that we have something to recap with.
Yeah. So as we wrap this up, because I do want to be respectful of your time, we're going to go into a segment that I call generic questions, which which is a segment that, if people that have seen my interviews will know, that basically where I ask my guests their favorite match, favorite pay-per-view, favorite show they've been to live, favorite theme song, and basically whatever other generic question they've probably been asked on Twitter in the past. But then now they've got a place that they can go, look, I've answered this, just go watch this.
There it is. Yes, absolutely. Then I can just say, check out my interview with Tom Talks Rubbish. Absolutely. Then there you go. So please have at it, please.
So favorite match of all time?
Favorite match of all time is the 1992 Royal Rumble. Perfectly executed. Flair in there taking bump after bump. Heenan on the microphone with a vested interest. Gorilla Monsoon poking and prodding him, and then that interview at the end with a tear in my eye. Oh man, perfect. I could watch that once a day and I'd be fine.
Mm-hmm. Favorite pay-per-view of all time?
Favorite pay-per-view. I forget which one it was, but it's the first time I discovered New Japan, and it was the first Kenny Omega and Okada match for the championship.
I'm the wrong person to ask.
Yeah, that was like whatever the Wrestle Kingdom was. That was my favorite show, top to bottom, because first time I had been exposed to a whole card of New Japan, and how hard hitting it was, and how you know, once you got to the bigger matches, you had a lot of that pomp and circumstance, but a lot of it was just, here's 3 or 4 dudes just wailing on each other, you know? And I'm like, I'm down with that. But then that match at the end where, like, I saw Omega and Okada just going at it. Oh, mwah, chef's kiss. Love it.
Favorite show you've been at live?
That one would be also a New Japan show where they had it at the Long Beach Pyramid down here, where the main event was the Young Bucks versus Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi.
Oh, the Golden Lovers.
Golden Lovers, and then there was also a then the undercard had a lot of other ones. I remember this Cody came out when he was still with Bullet Club, and he was like basically saying, you know, that Bullet Club is fine. And the great part of it was on hard cam, I was right behind, and I had that Lawson t-shirt where he looks like Charles Manson. Yeah, I had that on the whole time, and then there he was. There was like Lawson just looking all upset right there.
Yeah.
It fucking popped me. First time I met Steve and Lawson was at that show. They were at that show as well.
Really?
And that show, not knowing me from anything other than I told them what my handle was, and they were like, "Man, Steve says, man, you're a big dude. You should be our enforcer." And that was it.
Is that where that name came from?
That's it. Yep. He saw me and said, "Dude, you are a big dude, man. You could be our enforcer." That was it.
Wow.
That was it, man. As simple as that. But that was a great show. Yeah.
Favorite superstar of all time?
Big Boss Man.
Okay.
Love Ray Traylor. Loved
deep cut
him.
that we don't get very often. So please elaborate.
Big Boss Man. Like when I was a young kid, I had the flat top, just like he did. He used to have, you know, he was the big dude who did athletic moves. Now I know the gimmick and what he was wearing and stuff like that is not it doesn't fly nowadays, but the way that he would twirl that nightstick and do all that, and the way he would come out and do the side slam for his finisher, the way he would cut promos. Oh man, I loved Ray Traylor. Big Boss Man. Love when he came back.
Heel Boss Man or face Boss Man?
Heel Boss Man. Loved Heel Boss Man. Heel Boss Man was the guy. And then when I saw him come back, when he had like his SWAT gear all that, I was like, oh man, this dude looks clean as hell, man. Oh man, love Boss Man. He basically, because he was the dude when I was. Well, everyone always says representation matters, and it does. And when I saw him, I saw here's a bigger dude who's not jacked and yoked out, doing athletic moves, looking cool, can cut a promo, and not taking any mess. That dude vibed with me. So absolutely. Big Boss Man's the man to me.
Favorite theme song of all time?
Ultimate Warriors. That one always got me pumped up, man. That thing, and then you hear him, he would run out there already blowed up, shaking the ropes and just doing that. And then, you know, but unfortunately with him, and then the bell rang. And he just and you know, it was just all, but the presentation, everything. But like when I'd hear that theme song, man, it got me pumped, and it did its job, man. Yep.
Favorite, we've done favorite match, favorite pay-per-view, favorite theme song we've done. I've gone blank what I normally ask. I'm not gonna lie.
What's your favorite theme song?
No one's flipped that question on me.
There we go, man. See, come on.
Right. I don't know why, but I love Cody's dashing theme song.
Oh, okay.
Smoke and Mirrors. I don't know why. Honestly, I don't know. That was it. Favorite pay-per-view we've done. Favorite. Right. So as we wrap this up in full stop, I do obviously want to be thankful of your time. The question I end all my interviews on is with YouTube, with social media in general, we're all sort of going to live forever. So what is one video, live stream, or podcast, in your case, that you want the people to go check out so they know your body of work? And then what is one that you're like, if you could not check that one out, I'd appreciate it.
Well, I would. Well, since it probably you can't find it unless Steve uploads it. It's probably, I don't want anybody to see the first time Steve and myself did that Unsolved Mysteries podcast, or the first one we did. Luckily with Twitch, after 60 days, it goes away. Luckily, but I don't know if Steve has kept that somewhere on a hard drive or somewhere. If he ever wanted to clown,
message.
If he ever wanted to, Well, you can go on and do that, but if you ever wanted to clown on me and go, you know what, let's go look back and let's see how horrible the Enforcer is, that one would be it for sure. The one that I absolutely want you guys to see would honestly, I would say, there is a unboxing of, because I do unboxing of hockey jerseys, okay? Yeah. I absolutely love hockey jerseys. Hockey jersey collecting is a passion ever since I was a kid. I loved hockey jerseys.
How did that start, by the way?
I used to go to, in the mall, there was a sports store, sports clothing and memorabilia store. I forget the name, Pro Image, it might have been, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But they would always have baseball jerseys, basketball jerseys, and football jerseys, like a whole wall from top to bottom, just hanging up there. And, you can, okay, let me get this guy's jersey, or let me check this out. All the way in the back, there were jerseys I'd never seen before. And there were NHL hockey jerseys. And I was like, yeah, man, look at the craftsmanship of these logos, and they're full length, and, all the way to the sleeve, they had the intricate stuff, name and number, to have shoulder patches, all this cool stuff. And I'll be like, man, these things are beautiful, like jerseys. Whereas some of these other, like baseball, I would just say, the team's name in the script, and it'd be kind of boring. Yeah. Or basketball one would just say, like Lakers. And then it's like, just kind of, and the football jersey, I mean, American football, like for association football, a little different. Well, you get a big logo for a thing, and then your little shield for your actual team right there. But, for like football, like American football, it would just be a big block number on there. Like, I felt no interest in this. So these jerseys I gravitate to because they look so different. They look so, I guess, alive, if you will.
I don't know what you mean.
So I really gravitated towards that. And then also around in LA where I live, hockey, unless the Kings or the Ducks are doing anything big in the playoffs, nobody really watches or follows hockey. So I felt different wearing a hockey or a jersey of something that nobody has any idea who this team is, right? So, and then over the years, I would just, continue to go in there and check the clearance racks, see what I could actually afford. Because back then, these jerseys were super, they are depending on where you go, but in a store, super expensive unless you check out the clearance rack. And I would go through that and find a couple pieces or whatever, and that wouldn't sell, or they need to clear out space, and I would load up. And ever since then, I just loved hockey jerseys. And so basically, the one I want you to see is the ultimate excitement and enjoyment in my face. There is a reverse retro LA Kings jersey that I unboxed and finally found on eBay, and I paid a mint for it, unfortunately, but I really needed it, and I never see it show up in my size on the secondary market. And I pulled the trigger, and I got it here, and I unboxed it. That video, you see the ultimate happiness in my face, because I had chased this thing for well over a year, couldn't find it, and finally I had it. I will say this a lot in collecting, whatever you collect, a lot of the times the excitement of the chase is more exciting
than
when you have to chase it, and then you get it, and then you have it. That fervor of looking for it is something, whether you collect baseball cards or action figures or tapes or figurines or anything, that is, a collector knows what I'm talking about. And that is what I felt when I opened it up. I paid what I paid, saw it was what it was supposed to be, and I was like, yes, look at how beautiful this thing is, you know. And then, I just gushed over everything. So the LA Kings reverse retro jersey unboxing, that is me at my happiest for sure.
To be honest, man, I think that's a beautiful way to end it. So before we do, I want to give you the floor and plug away, good sir. Where can the good
absolutely.
people find you?
Absolutely. So, like I said, I have a hockey jersey discussion, basically unboxing jerseys that I have. That's at youtube.com /enforcer Stevie Bradley. I know it's a bit of a mouthful, but there it is. I've got probably 65 videos, maybe 70 videos, and I'm unboxing them and I go in depth with them. That is a passion project for me. Whether I had the channel or not, I would be unboxing these jerseys and digging through it just for myself anyway. So please go on over there. Of course, we do live streams. If you're not following us, twitch.tv/Steven Larson. We do Smash Zones usually on a Tuesday or Thursdays. Sorry, live watch-alongs all throughout. Whenever there's a pay-per-view or a big premium live event, you know, you can come on and join us. Also, we have a clip channel. It's a Friendo Club TV on YouTube that gives us basically the highlights of our live streams and the before and after, you know, pre-show, after show that we have. Basically, you know, just the little nuggets of Steven Larson and the Enforcer over there at youtube.com/Friendo Club TV. Of course, Steven Larson with Going In Raw. Please subscribe if you haven't. Twitter, Enforcer Stevie B. Go on and follow me. I'd appreciate it. And that's all I got, man.
It's well worth doing, guys. So if you guys like this video, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Help the channel grow. And I will see you in the next one. Bye. Bye.